Guys, today we are with one of the greats. The man that is sitting with me has been on over 40 hit television series, including NCIS, Home and Away, Pulse, and Family Law. He has been working with some of the A-list actors all over the world. We've got Keanu Reeves, we've got Jada Smith in The Matrix, we've got Ewan McGregor, Michael Fassbender in Haywire. And then on top of all of this, he's still got time to give back to the world by teaching at some of the most prestigious schools. We've got NIDA, the Actors Centre, and my very own QUT. And he's a very dear friend of mine. I'd like to introduce Anthony Wong.
Nice
How are
to
you,
see
mate? How you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for this opportunity. It's always fun to talk about the craft. You know, I never get bored with that.
Well, that's it. And you've just got back from Melbourne, you were saying?
Yeah, I was doing the Groundlings course, which is the Groundlings is a world-renowned school for improv, comedy improv. They've had alumni like Will Farrell, Melissa McCarthy, Kristen Wiig. So the co-creator of that school, Phyllis Katz, came out to Melbourne to teach a 5-day workshop, and it was a blast. It was just so much fun.
And you just got back today, did you?
Just got back today, and
busy, man.
It was really busy. It was fantastic.
So I wanted, before we get into asking all the questions, I wanted to talk about just the work that you've done in the past, working with some of these incredible actors. Like how was that? How did you find working with these A-list people? Like, is there a trait that they all share that you noticed, like an energy? Like how was it working with these people?
I find that, they're all different. They're all got their own individual personalities, but for the most part, they're quite relaxed about who they are, and it's usually the C-grade actors that are pulling the kind of narcissistic ego trip, whereas the A-list actors are very real, and just you can go to have a meal with them, and there's not many airs and graces, And of course, we're making a massive generalization about A-list actors, but and even though they have different levels of intensity, like for example, when I work with Giovanni Ribisi, he's very intense about the way he works. Like he likes to stay in character, and whereas Jada Pinkett Smith, who I worked with for 15 months on the Matrix set, the Matrix sequels and the game, she just loved to joke around a lot. So
really?
they're kind of, but they're both very just real people. So I think sometimes when you've achieved that level of success, you don't have to try so hard to please people.
You got nothing to prove.
They've kind of proven it, or I guess they're continuing to prove it. So is there a trait that? And I'd also say pretty grateful for their lives, actually. Like they're not the kind of people that walk around and are, often complaining about things. They're actually celebrating
what they have,
and how fantastic, and wonderful their lives are, and that they have this opportunity to do their craft. So, and I think that's part of the reason people keep hiring them, because they become a pleasure to work with.
They're nice people to work with.
They're just nice, real people.
It's interesting what you were saying as well about, how they're all different. Everyone's got their individual quality that they bring when they're doing their work, and I imagine you'd find that like with your teaching as well, like when you're teaching different students and all that, because like I've had a class with you, fantastic class, quick little promo for you guys, amazing classes.
It's great to work with you in that class.
Oh, thank you. But working with these kids, like because everyone's got a different way that they like to work, and how, like in your classes, how have you gone about identifying that with each individual person? Because you got, 14, 20 people around about the class.
Yes.
How do you go about connecting with those guys?
I just use my intuition in terms of how a person might like to work, and I've had more than 100 acting teachers, not all acting teachers actually, like 100 teachers in acting, script analysis, audition technique, clowning, improv, voice, Alexander technique, Laban, singing, so musical theatre, a lot of different approaches. And the reason I did that is, one, I love learning. I just love, till my dying day, I'm going to be like taking class because I just love it so much. But also because people access acting in different ways. Like they really approach it from a whole variety of methods. So, for example, some people work better from the imagination.
Okay.
They would work better with the work of Stella Adler. Other people want to draw from their real life, and they would work very well with the Barnard Chubbuck's technique.
Yep.
Other people are very body oriented, they're very physical, they might have been a dancer or an athlete, and so for them, accessing a character through some change in the physical body. Laban might be really good for them. Clown work might be really good for them. Mask work. Other people, it's more about that they've got to get in the moment.
Yep.
So a Meisner exercise, a Meisner repetition exercise might be good for them. So different strokes for different folks. I believe all acting techniques can work, and we've seen that. Great actors come from practical aesthetics, great actors come from Chubbuck technique, come from the work of Larry Moss, come from the work of Strasberg, and then you also have people who never trained at all, like Jodie Foster did not train, and she's just this natural, incredible,
Hit the ground running,
amazing actor. So I try to meet an actor, I try to get a feel, and I have a conversation with them as well, of what does it for them.
Okay.
And then I try to meet them at that. I have different processes, but I try not to be rigid. I keep myself open to different ways of working. And just this week, as I said, the Groundlings class I did in Melbourne. Just 2 weeks ago, I did a Meisner class with wonderful Scott Williams from London. Just 2 weeks before that, or a few weeks before that, I worked with Steppenwolf from Chicago. Yeah. And then earlier this year, I worked with Patsy Rodenberg. And it's because I'm just so curious, like a scientist, as to what makes someone's work explode and become liberated and become free and impulsive and truthful. And that's so many different ways.
And that's the exciting thing, isn't it? Because the curiosity of learning is what keeps that passion moving forward.
Absolutely.
You know?
And acting, because it's a practical art form, you can intellectually know an exercise. It's just like you can intellectually know a gym exercise. Like you intellectually know, you read in a book how to do a bicep curl. But if you don't do the bicep curl, the muscle doesn't grow.
It's not gonna grow,
so that's right. So that's why people say to me sometimes, you've been acting 34 years, Anthony, why are you going back to class? You're experienced. And I said, because I need to keep working, I need to keep going to the dojo. And also you can get safe. You can get into your comfort zone and just do your default. And so it's great to be pushed by great mentors and teachers who ask more of you, who ask you to go to different character types that you might be scared of, or to go to genres. Like someone's very confident at drama but not so much in comedy, or they're really confident in comedy but not so great at Shakespeare. So it's great to just
flip it. Do what?
Totally.
Yeah, work the muscle.
That's the fun of it, to keep flipping it and keep seeing what you're capable of.
Keep it out of the comfort zone.
Absolutely. That's where the magic happens, out of the comfort zone. It's all very well to go see something that's truthful and natural, but not necessarily thrilling or exciting or dynamic or and I'm not saying you have to do a lot to be thrilling and exciting. You could be very still and be thrilling and exciting.
Could be exciting in itself.
It could be, a person could be absolutely full emotionally and very still with it, and it could be riveting. But what I mean is, for every actor, we've all got our comfort zone.
Yeah.
And growth comes from going outside of that and being willing to make mistakes. What I mean by that is that you can be confident, say, at one thing, and then it can feel very vulnerable and fragile and insecure to go into a different area.
Yeah, but that's
where it lives.
Well, that's exactly right, and it's incredible that when you put it like that, because I couldn't have said it better myself. The only way that you're going to grow is if you put yourself in situations where you're foreign and it's not comfortable, and your body feels uncomfortable. But that's good, because you're never going to expand your depth of knowledge if you're just doing the same.
If you're doing the same thing all the
same
time.
old tricks that have worked in the past. It may take you to a point, but then it doesn't go much further.
Well, it's just not fun to. For some people, they're content to play the same role over and over again and to just stay with them, and that's completely valid, and I'm not judging that for them. But for me, I would be a little bored.
And it's really interesting you say about the relationship between the body, the mind, and almost like the soul, the gut feeling. Like you said, with those accents, you get that gut feeling of what it feels like. And I think it's such an important thing for actors and for creatives to keep those three aligned. You know what I mean? So you can really understand the little voices that are saying, just do it like this. Those gut instincts that are pushing you like that.
It's all about gut instinct. I think that training really liberates you to be more yourself, more instinctive, a better listener, a better observer,
Yeah.
and more outrageously you.
That's it, isn't it? Like, you just got to find that medium of almost shedding everything that the world has thrown on you from being a kid all the way up until now, and just coming back to who you are and what you can offer. Because at the end of the day, that's how I interpret what acting is. It's just, you know, you're just giving a part of yourself, an interpretation of yourself mixed in with the character or whatever you're portraying in that moment.
Absolutely.
And it makes me beg the question, when you are teaching, how, like, what is your relationship with that? Like, how over the years, how have you formulated the way that you teach? Like, what are the...
Oh gosh,
are there,
great question.
Yeah,
It's always evolving. It's always evolving. Like, I mean, for many, many years I worked with a technique called the Sanford-Meisner technique, and I trained with a wonderful teacher who had trained with someone from the neighbourhood playhouse. So I did a lot of repetition, and that was my way as an actor of working too, you know, just being very, very alive to what was happening in the scene part.
I know that worked well with us when we were doing
Yes, and we did some of that in my class.
That's great.
So, and then when I moved to LA in 2005, around 2005, I asked my friend Judith Light, who's this amazing actress who won back-to-back Tonys for her work on Broadway, and I said, who's your teacher? Who do you recommend? She said, Ivana Chubbuck, and I hadn't heard about Ivana at that stage, and so I started this journey with Ivana, and it's been 12 years, and so I trained to be an actor first with her, and then I went back and I did a teacher training to become an accredited teacher of that technique. So that's been very much informing my work for a lot of years. But meanwhile, while I was doing the Chubbuck work, I was studying with Larry Moss since 2011. I went and worked with Eric Morris in LA, went and worked with Margie Haber in LA, who's a great audition technique teacher. I've done years and years of work with Rowena Balos, who I'm about to teach a workshop in Sydney with, who's a great voice teacher. So the influences are from so many different directions. I went and did Laban stuff, I went and did clown and mask and Asian theatre techniques, because they all can offer something to the actor. I think we need openness and a curiosity and a willingness to be humble to learn from a different approach.
Exactly.
And not try to battle each other. I mean, we can have our opinions, but I would never do that, because I just see value in all of them. And indeed in my career as an actor, I've used all of them at different times for different roles.
Well, that's it, because they could be interchangeable, you know, like, one method could work perfectly for a more naturalistic kind of scene, but then vice versa, you know, and I think that's the thing that we've got to remember, is that take in everything, wear what works, and then don't judge the stuff that doesn't. Just say it just doesn't work for me, because
totally.
What works for one may not work for the other, and vice versa.
Absolutely, and if it doesn't work for you, that's not a reason to then invalidate it for someone else.
Yeah.
Because it might totally work for them and be brilliant. I mean, actually, at the end of the day, we're all on the same path. We're all trying to get to truth. We're all trying to find a truth in our work that's authentic and real and organic and impulsive, and trying to be brave with our work. And we're all trying to do that. So whether you get there through the body, outside in, whether you get there through the imagination, whether you get there through just being with your scene partner and breathing and really letting them affect you, as in the Meisner work, whether you get there through drawing from your real life, as in the Chubbuck work, whether you get there through, I don't know, meditation, whatever it takes for you to get there, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
As long as we come together and we're present with each other in the moment and respectful of each other's way of working, some magic can happen.
That's it. Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. And I wanted to ask Anthony, with that in mind, what have you noticed? Like, because the influx of people that you would see on a daily basis, students-wise, teachers-wise, and just fellow actors, are there things that you're noticing inside the classroom and outside the classroom that where we should be doing more of?
Oh, I love this question.
Less of.
I saw this when you sent me the questions.
It's something I really want to know, because it plays on my mind, because, like you said, you know, such experience, such knowledge, and I want to know, outside and inside, is there things that we need to be doing more of or less of? So what are your thoughts?
It's a great question. More alignment. Now I'm going to break this down. Alignment with our true core fearless self. That sounds very new age, and so don't switch off if you're into the new age.
I love it.
But I'm going to explain what I mean by this. I believe we each have a version that is our best version of ourselves. It's a kind of Buddha version, if you want to use that terminology. What I mean by that is it's fearless, it's centered, it's calm, it's loving, it loves self, it loves other, it's unifying with other people, it's compassionate, it's abundant, it believes in magic and possibilities and that you can have what you want in life. It's the part of us that is our most profoundly good part of us, in the sense of the part that wants to help others, that wants to bring something of value to the world.
Yeah.
That's who we really are. So when I said being in alignment, when you spend more time listening to that part rather than the negative introject, which is that negative inner critic voice, or rather than the bitchy judge voice or the neurotic worried voice, but you listen to this part that lies underneath all those personalities types and all those sub-personalities, those parts of the psyche.
Yeah.
Underneath all of that activity in the mind is this really cool, calm, collected part of you, part of us. And that's a great place to go to before an audition. Sitting in the car outside the casting office, just take a moment to listen to that self, and that self will make you feel good.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're listening to the, I haven't done enough work, they're not going to cast me because I'm Asian, I don't, I'm not good enough, that's not going to support you.
It's not going to serve what you're trying to achieve.
And the great thing is, you don't have to be a Pollyanna. You don't have to think 100% positive thoughts. You can still have a part of your psyche that's being neurotic and fearful and scared about the audition. But if you can just remember, there's always a part that's got your back, that's got its hands on your lower back, on the small of your back, and it's just going, I got you. I got you. I got this. I got you. We're here to make a contribution. We're here to be of service. You can be worried. I'll hold your hand. I got your back. And that's something actors could do more of, because I notice, because we're sensitive, actors are sensitive, we can spend a lot of time being drawn into really negative inner conversations where we're constantly going, I'm not good enough, my agent's not good enough, I'm not thin enough, I'm not this enough, we all can do that. And underneath that, I find it very comforting to know that there is a part that isn't worried about any of that stuff. So that's something we can do more of. We can do more voice work.
Yeah.
We can do more voice work on a daily basis to find more variety, more colours in our voice, more connection to our emotions and our thoughts, because sometimes the voice can be disconnected. To find more clarity, to find more power, to find more range. I think sometimes voice is undervalued with a lot of people that want to sort of get onto shows like Home and Away, and I'm not saying those actors on Home and Away, because many of them are my wonderful students, are not interested in that, they are. But I'm saying there is a lot of the new generation who are just ambitious to get on TV. And sometimes they miss the steps of like going to do theatre, going to a good voice class, learning accents.
The preparation, the learning process,
absolutely.
The growing process.
They're so keen to get over to LA that they sometimes miss those steps, and the voice is one of the steps they often miss.
And I think that's really a key element that you just said then, is knowing that it'll always be there. There's no
It's never going to be perfect, like
Exactly.
you never have any negative thoughts.
There's no one trick fix all, that negative voice is gone. But
And we wouldn't want that either, because how would we be in touch with our grief and our insecurity and our sadness if we're going to like positivize everything and be like a Pollyanna? But it's just like, it's the difference between being a leaf in the wind where there's no anchor. You just like get a feeling and you go off in any direction, and you feel negative now, and then you get depressed and there's no anchor. And feeling really bad about an audition because you felt like you didn't act on your impulses or whatever, but knowing that there's a part of you that's going, by all means honour that feeling, but when you're ready, I'm here waiting for you to tell you again how wonderful you are and how everything's going to be all right. And so you've got a true north to keep going back to.
Yeah.
Even though you took a diversion away from that good feeling place, you can come back to
always
it.
come back. So may I ask? Don't have to go into too much detail because this is yours. But when you're in an audition room and when you're in the waiting room and those negative voices are playing, because it's a beautiful concept in theory, but when you're in the moment and it is going, it's hard to just go. It's hard to let that go. So how do you, if you don't mind me asking, how do you connect with it?
You have to train yourself over time. It's not going to be an overnight thing. to train an inner stability about that, which doesn't mean I don't get insecure about auditions, but I basically have a sort of bottom line belief system that I'm good at auditions. I just tell myself that. I write lists of the ones that I've gotten. So I'm putting my mind into a place where I'm focusing on the positive. So I write in my diary, I'm really great at auditions, and I list them. The Matrix, The Family Law, Maximum Choppage, Chimerica, all the ones, and because my attention's going on to that, not on the ones I didn't get and how I stuffed that one up, then I'm creating this inner stability around auditions. And which means if you're creating an inner stability like an oak tree, you can have some momentary thoughts of, oh my God, I haven't done enough work, whatever. And that's like the leaves going like this, but the tree is really solid.
Yeah.
And so that's what I mean. It's like going to the gym. If you're training your body to be really resilient and strong, you can take a little knock. Someone can bruise you a little bit, you recover. You can go for a bit of a boot camp, session, and you get out of breath and you recover because you've built a strong base. So actors need to build a strong mental base so that when we have our naturally occurring insecure thoughts, it's not going to floor us.
And how? Sorry, please.
Yeah, go on. But within the audition, what you can do is, say you're having a bit of a critic attack where you're going, oh my God, what you can do is you can breathe and then stop and ask yourself a question like, what's 10 great things about this audition? Or or you can take yourself back to a memory of a time when you were successful and interrupt the pattern that's going down that train line.
Just divert. Just go this way. Go this way.
Or you could just, there's no one way. You could just sit with it and let yourself be with it. So you're feeling, because maybe the character is feeling insecure. You could use it.
Yeah.
You could be like, oh, can I use this to put into the audition? Any time you can quieten your mind before an audition, meditation for 20 minutes before walking in could help you. Listen to music might help you. Everyone, different strokes for different folks. Going for a run, having a gym workout, doing a vocal warm-up, physical warm-up.
It's almost a trial and error, just trial a bunch of different ways, see what works for you, and then...
We all get insecure. Everyone does. We all have an inner critic. I think it just goes with being an artist. It's nothing you have to 100% get rid of. It's just something to make peace with.
Classes now, just for the people watching, so just so they get a feel, because I remember I spoke to Lockie about you and he showed me some of your stuff before I came to your class, and then I wanted to get on board. So for people that are watching, can you just explain how your classes work, how people could find some, jump on board, how long they run for?
Yes.
So just those, what you got coming up next, just so people get an idea of how they can jump on board and get a part of your classes.
Yeah, I generally run 2-day workshops. I run them in Sydney, but sometimes I'm brought by other schools like 16th Street in Melbourne to work with their part-time and full-time program students, and I might run a workshop for the industry at the same time when I'm down in Melbourne, or I might go and teach in Brisbane at the Factory, Christopher Summers and Angela Jones running that wonderful studio up there. But in Sydney, I run my own 2-day workshops, and then once a year I run this 3-day workshop with one of the world's best voice teachers, who's a dear friend of mine, Rowena Balos, who we do a combined acting, voice and standard American accent workshop where you get daily American accent training, standard American accent training with Rowena and voice training, and then in the afternoons you do scene work in the American accent with getting feedback from Rowena and myself. And so, but the way people can jump on board, they can go to Facebook and they can find my teaching site or page, my Facebook group, which is called Anthony Brandon-Wong's Acting Troupe, which was a name that was made up by a friend of mine. She set up the page. And I also do private coaching as well, so I can coach people for auditions, for if they have a role, I can work on the role with them to prepare them for the role. We can work on acting techniques, monologues. I mentor people for their careers, so helping them go to the next level, or they're looking for an agent, I mentor them for things like that, or getting their show reel up to speed. I help them develop a show reel right from choosing the scenes, finding the scene partners, finding the locations for the scene, and then coaching them, and then going there on the day to direct them.
Oh,
so to get a show reel together.
Wow.
So
incredible.
Lots of different ways
And,
to work with me.
all that information is on the Countdown Create website as well. So if you go to the Countdown Create website, on our client list we have Anthony Wong, and we've got links, tabs that you can follow to book in a class, contact him, and all that sort of stuff.
Thank you for that. That's lovely.
No, thank you, Anthony. Thank you. And now, is there anything you want to, any tips or tricks you want to leave us with before? Because I know you're a busy guy, so we won't keep you
No,
too
it's
much
fine.
longer.
It's been a pleasure.
Is there anything else that you want to cover before we wrap up this evening?
I just think the 10,000 hour rule, which is a concept that was minted or created or made popular by a guy called Malcolm Gladwell, who wrote a book called Outliers, The Story of Success. And in that book he said one of the key ingredients of any successful person, whether the Beatles, which he mentions in the book, or elite athletes, or Bill Gates, is that they did 10,000 hours of practice on their chosen craft. So I don't want to say it's hard work that gets you there. I want to say it's regular work. See, there's a difference with hard work. Semantics are important. Hard work, slogging away, treadmill, I've got to do this voice work again. I think if you approach your work like that, you probably will leave the business at a certain point because you'll be like exhausted and frustrated. But if it's consistent work and it's fun, anything that makes it fun, you're going to keep doing more of. So if there's a way you can work smarter and with more joy, that's going to keep you going. And then of course, by doing that constantly, you're going to improve your ability to access emotion. You're going to improve your ability to have a voice that has clarity and power and connection and colors. You're going to improve your script analysis skills. You're going to improve your improv skills. You're going to improve your ability to physically realize a character. Practice. It is the old practice makes perfect. And I don't want to use the word perfect because let's not do perfectionism, but practice makes growth.
Yeah.
And so that's nothing rocket science, but the way to do that is to feel good more often about what you're doing. And whatever takes you to that place, whether it's affirmations, meditation, keeping a gratitude journal, that makes you feel I'm moving forward, I'm growing, I'm getting better, is going to keep you in the industry for a long time than thoughts like, I'm not getting anywhere. I've been doing this for 30 years, I'm not getting anywhere. That's just going to keep you stuck.
Yeah.
So the mind is a very, very powerful tool for our fulfillment, happiness, contentment and success.
Well, that's fantastic. So thank you, Anthony.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you,
for inviting me to have this talk.
Oh, thanks for chatting with us. And there you go, guys. Learning never stops. You've heard it from the man himself. So go out there, find something that works for you and just keep at it. And if you love it, that's the main thing. So awesome. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.